Hi, this is Tim at Potomac Boatcraft. I'm here today working on a Beneteau 311 for a client who has asked me to replace the original Teak cockpit seats with synthetic plastic. They've gotten kind of worn, they sort of started to peel away in places, so we're replacing them with something new. Now, I thought that I would just kind of walk through this. There are 6 sections that of teak that needed to be removed. I've removed 5 of them. What you see is kind of the residual adhesive and a little bit of wood in places, which I'll have to take out with a sander. But what I learned was that there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to take out this teak. So what I did is I saved one last little section here. We'll use this as a demonstration for the right way to do this. Just a word about the wrong, what I found that didn't work. First of all, power tools of any sort are completely unnecessary. I was using an oscillating tool with a tile blade to kind of try and cut through some of these seams. That just wasn't nearly as efficient as just, say, an X-Acto blade. And then using the same oscillating tool, I had just kind of one of those scraper blades to try and kind of get underneath this between the adhesive and the wood. And that's just not very efficient either. And you do risk dinging the gel coat underneath. So I'll probably need to use sanders eventually to kind of clean these surfaces up, but not initially. So what we have here is these are teak slats that, as far as I can tell, are bonded to the gel coat with some sort of epoxy-like adhesive or epoxy-based adhesive. And then there's some sort of polysulfide seat, probably like teak sealer or something like that, like a black bond that goes in between these here. So these are actually individual pieces of teak that are just bonded beneath. So I'm going to move the camera into a mount and just kind of talk through this. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep my head out of the camera here. I'm basically using 3 tools here. Got one of these 7-in-1 scraping blades that I'm basically going to use like a chisel. I've got a good old X-Acto blade that I'm going to use for cutting the sealant, and then a hammer for hitting the chisel, and that's basically it. So the first thing I'm going to do is start by just scoring the perimeter of the piece here, trying not to scrape into the gel coat too badly, and then let me start with that. So do that. Okay, and then what I want to do now, it's tempting to, in this case it might actually work, but it's tempting to just kind of start from this corner since it's already lifting up there anyway. But what I want to do here is I actually want to try and remove this piece first. So I'm actually going, because I'm going to be using the chisel, ultimately using this tool like this to kind of get under it like this is how I'm going to take these things off. And I don't want to start by, I don't want to start right on the edge because I don't want to damage any of the gel coat right along the edge. I want to keep this chisel clear of this side. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually work and remove this piece by coming in this way. And to do that, I need an edge. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the X-Acto blade and I'm going to cut out this piece of caulk that goes in between these 2 pieces of wood. And I'm just going to cut 2 grooves, one on either side, and I'm going to pull out the middle. The other side. Okay, and then this just kind of lifts out. Okay, now I've got, it's probably hard to see on the video, but there's about a nice groove that I can kind of get in there with the chisel. Now, I'm not sure if I can do this and keep my head out of the picture, but we'll try. But what I want to try and do here is just try and get this started. This is kind of the trickiest part. Get this started just so that this corner piece comes in here. Give this a couple hits. I want to try and, it's unavoidable to a certain degree, but I want to try and get this not to splinter. I want to try and get under the wood, not splinter the wood. It's just going to be easier to bring up that way. Okay. I'm trying to stay out of the camera. Okay, so it started to come up there, and then I can kind of continue to do the same thing here until the whole piece comes up, hopefully. The thing about live TV, you never know what's going to actually happen. Okay, now in this case, this was actually loose here. So this piece will actually, turns out I can actually kind of mostly pick this up just as is. And I can save myself the chisel. So now I have this. And now I have a nice edge here that I can chisel against without worrying about banging up this edge of the gel coat. So now I just kind of start at one end here and try and get as much as possible underneath the wood, and really focus on getting in between the adhesive and the gel coat. So I want to try and hold this as firm and flat as I can to get under here. At one point I was trying to bring this up board by board, so I'd actually cut the adhesive here before doing this chiseling work, but I found that if I leave it this way, that actually helps stay underneath the wood. So what I am doing is I'm actually going to try and get underneath a couple boards, maybe certainly through this first one and into the second, maybe even the third, and then as these come up I can just cut these off with an X-Acto blade. So here we go. See how that just kind of comes right underneath there? I'm going to try and get in as far as I can. I'm trying to keep the metal and the handle off of this gel coat. Okay, and again, it's tempting to just kind of like pull up and try and move things along, but I don't want this wood to splinter. I want it to come up in single pieces, because then that will mean less sanding down the road. So patience is a virtue. A little bit of a tug there, but again, no. Okay, got a nice pop there. And again, it's important to chisel across the grain, not in the same direction as the grain. Don't go this way or the wood definitely will splinter. It will not come up in nice, neat pieces. So I've got I've got two pieces up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this first one by just running my X-Acto blade down the adhesive. I'll just cut this free like that. That piece is out. And I still have a bit here. I'm just going to keep going and do the rest of them the same way. Okay, we're basically all the way through here, so now I can just take this up. This should release all by itself. Ta-da! All right, a little bit of extra teak there, and certainly some caulk there that needs to come out. That a couple times. Okay, all right, that's essentially it. So what's left here is just the glue and a little bit of teak here that I can either try and chisel off or sand off, and you know, do some other kinds of cleanup around the edges there prior to putting down the new decking. So that's it. Hopefully you found this useful.